Okay, I want you to do one thing with me. I want you to take one of your hands and pretend that this is your body, okay? And I want you to take this other hand and pretend that this is everything you've been through in your life, okay? So this could be, maybe you went to school and you were bullied. Maybe you had someone in your class that wasn't nice to you. Maybe you were scared of your teachers. Maybe you were scared of talking in public. Maybe you heard your parents fight a lot, okay? So it starts tying up here, okay? So it starts to fold that in. Then maybe you, in your teens, maybe you had a heartache. Maybe something else happened. Maybe, you had, your SATs, whatever it is. Like, whatever happened, it starts to get a little tighter here, okay? So it could be the pressure of college, okay? It could be having your boss fight with you. It could be a divorce. It could be anything, okay? Now hold it up super tight as you can, okay? You're gonna hold this for a while. So what happened was that all these things that happened to you, they're basically a response from your mind to your body that created your body to tighten up like this, okay? So you have probably been told for your whole life that your problems and these little stressors were not big enough, okay? That other people in the world have it worse than you, and which is probably true. But it doesn't change the fact that this still happened, right? This still happens no matter what anyone else in the world is going through. Like, this doesn't change at all. But when you have that belief, you've been told that you should just suck it up, you should just deal with it, you should just move on with your life, right? So you move on with your life, but this is still going on, right? So it's not that comfortable. You might do exercise, you might work out, you might go to a therapist, you might meditate and stuff like that, and you can do all these things, but it still doesn't take away this, right? So for example, I went for over 8 years in therapy, and the only thing that really happened with that was that we talked about how these came into place. So we talked about how, like being bullied caused this one, or how my rape caused this one, or how my domestic violence caused this one, okay? So maybe even watching the news caused this one, So all these things happen, and we talk about them. We talk about what caused them, what put them there, and why they're there, but they still don't go away, right? So this is what I see happen a lot, because people are living with this, and we learn to just deal with them, right? So what I want to tell you is that you're actually supposed to let this go. So as you're noticing, as you're squeezing this, you probably start to hurt, right? It's like the more you're holding tight and the more you're holding on, the more it starts to hurt. But the thing is with us also, because we learn to just deal with it, so we get so used to this pain. This pain becomes part of us. Like, you almost get comfortable with the pain, right? But it's still, because I have this pain, I'm not able to see anything else around me, okay? So I cannot notice what pain you're going through, or who anyone else that I love is going through, because I'm just focused on this, because I'm terrified that if I let this go, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, people keep telling me to be strong and hold everything in. So I don't know what's going to happen if I let this go, okay? So this is the fear a lot of people live with. They're scared to let this go. People are familiar with letting this go, or they're unfamiliar with letting this go. They are terrified that if they let go, something is going to happen. Something bad is going to happen, because they don't know how it looks like to not be in this pain. And they think that even if what they went through wasn't traumatic enough, that there's no reason why they should even focus on this. They should just pretend that it doesn't exist, right? But it still exists. So until we learn how to let this go, this will keep hurting, right? It will keep affecting our lives. And we notice too, if you keep squeezing this, you're noticing too, like for me at least, I can feel it's starting to travel up my arm, right? It's starting to get tight. And this is what happens with you too. You're probably noticing you have a lot of tightness in your jaw, you have a lot of tightness in your neck, your shoulders. Some people notice here at the back of their neck. This is because the mind has been sending all these responses through the brainstem, through the spinal cord, into your body, okay? So these responses is a survival response. So holding it so tightly like this, it's basically your body's way of protecting itself, right? There's a barrier, so there's nothing that can go in there. So we literally built a wall around whatever's going on inside of here. The thing is, when we do that, we're not completely living, right? We only have one hand to work with. So the thing is that what I teach is your body is fully capable of letting this go. You are fully capable of letting this go. But it's this the old beliefs that you're not supposed to let this go. That your problems are not big enough. That's what keeping you stuck. That's what keeping you right here. Okay? You think that everything, the solution to you feeling better, to you living with this, to you coping with this, is to go somewhere else for help. But I want to tell you that this is fully capable. Like, you can learn how to do this for the rest of your life. So whenever you watch the news, whenever you have a heartbreak, whenever something happens and you come back here, I'm going to teach you how you can let that go, okay? So that's what I teach. This is what I do. So what happens is when I teach this technique in my program in the Science of Letting Go, how to physically release the stress, what happens is that we basically trigger the body, or not trigger the body, but we make the body comfortable with finishing the stress response that caused this to happen, okay? So you don't even have to remember what caused this. You just have to let your body do its job, okay? You just need to let your body let this go, okay? So when we start to let go, it could be a little bit uncomfortable, okay? And we start letting go a little bit. Like, you see, it's a little bit red. It's a little bit uncomfortable to let go. And when I did this with my mom, for example, my mom had over 40 years of trauma. We both started crying because what happens when your body is letting go is finishing the stress response that caused this. And you can basically, it's almost like you have to finish what happened to you, okay? So it was almost like I could see my mom turn into the little girl that was fleeing the military, okay? And it's uncomfortable. It is. It's not, but the way out is so rewarding, right? So in the beginning, you will notice that you feel everything's, your blood is starting coming back. You start to notice that you get a little bit more flexibility, right? You start to notice how it felt like to actually not hold on tightly anymore. So this is getting used to it. You notice, like, you move your hand and it's trying to get back into what this is the real state. This is how it's supposed to look like, but it's still trying to come back, right? So what happens when you let your body physically release a stress response? So if you notice, if you look at your hand, maybe you have some nail marks here. So what happens is any stressor, so whatever that's the news or a bad working environment, whatever that is, it causes a trauma to your body. So this, like a little injury on your hand, for example, this is trauma to the body. Okay, so people look at stress and trauma very differently, but it's actually the same. So trauma is caused by the stress. So this, for us to be able to heal this, we actually have to let this go, right? So you notice now when we let it go, our body can finally start to heal. So that's why I teach the 3 R's. So the first one is we release. Now your body can reset, right? And now it can start to recover, okay? So this is so important because we think that we can't do this. We think that we have to live like this for the rest of our lives, but that's not true, okay? You have this ability, beautiful ability or incredible ability, just like any other animal in the world, to physically release stress. Okay, you're not supposed to live like this. You're not supposed to be limited in your life. You're not supposed to be impacted by stress like this in your life. You know, there's times when stress is good, you know, when it like gets you going and gets you into action. But stress that stays in your body holds you back. It makes you be in survival mode, right? It's protecting you. So you have to let this go. And until you let this go, until you know how to let your body release, you're not going to be able to benefit from therapy, from meditation, from exercise, from eating right, from doing all these things, because you're still holding on, right? Like, you can still do them and you might feel better, but it's still not gone, you know? So as your body is recovered, you're able to function normally and you're able to help other people, because now you're not held back by this pain and struggle that you've been focused on in your entire life. Okay, this is why, I don't know if you saw my story, this is why the Julie from Canada was saying that, you know, she went to like her family doctor and her therapist could never figure out what was wrong with her because of this, because they were missing the actual release. They were missing that she had to let go of the stress that she had built up over the years. Okay, so imagine if you could do this for the rest of your life. You have the tool inside of you to let all of this go. All I'm doing in the Science of Letting Go is teaching you that tool. I'm teaching you a technique to let your body know that it's okay to let go, to physically release the stress response out of your body. And then for the next weeks, like the week number 2, the second week, we do the mind. So you remember how I said that the mind sends the signals to your body. So the second week, we talk all about the mind and how the mind is, so we try and prevent the mind to even develop stress in the first place, so that we don't have to have our body affected by it. And then week 3 is all about, you know, how we can separate us or build a filter of all the things like news and, you know, our relationships and everything else that is around us that gets thrown at us into our mind and then to the body. So the big point is everything is connected, right? So it's like a domino, you know, or a domino effect. So if something happens, so if you watch this news and you're super stressed, or your boss screams at you or yells at you, or something happens, it goes to your mind, right? Your mind registers it, and then your mind sends it down to your body. And your body, if it doesn't have a way to release it, is going to stay stuck. Okay, so you don't know. Some people live with it for the rest of their lives. So how about if you learned how to filter everything out in the first place? What if you knew how to manage any stress that comes into your mind before it reaches your body? What if even if it came to your body and you were able, I almost did like the bad finger for you there, but what if even if it came to your body, because you're human, trauma happens all the time, right? It's part of life. But what if you could have the tool to let that go? So it comes to your body, fine, you deal with it, but then it's gone. That's it, okay? So the reason why something might not have worked with you before is because you haven't released in your body. That's literally it. And you don't have to live with pain. You don't have to live like this for the rest of your life. Then I promise you, it's not, once you let go, it's not scary anymore.